I was suffering from pain in my right shoulder to the point where just doing basic things like tucking my shirt in, I was getting severe pain and feeling like my shoulder was actually going to dislocate. Upon visiting my doctor, who referred me to a specialist, he said, I think there's some more going on in there, and after an MRI scan of my shoulder said, your shoulder's full of arthritis and you actually need to get a full shoulder replacement. I did think about it for a little while, but ultimately I decided I'm too young, and I like to swim. It's one of my pastimes, and I was at the point where I could no longer do freestyle anymore, and so that again for me was a decision point.
I had niggling trouble for quite a long time, and then it all came to a head one afternoon. I just did a simple thing of shrugging my shoulders, and the pain just shot right down my arm. So my husband took me straight to the hospital. I couldn't move that arm, and the pain was horrific. They gave me strong painkillers and sent me for an ultrasound. And when I had the ultrasound the next day, they said, oh yes, you've torn all the major ligaments in there, and so went and saw my GP and referred me to a shoulder specialist.
I ended up fracturing the left one. I just bent down, wiped the floor in a circular motion, and ended up screwing about a 10-cent piece of bone off the top of the left humerus. And then I think that was the weekend, and I rang the surgeon on the Monday and I said to the receptionist, I think I've done something really bad. She organised the MRI and I had that done at the end of the week, and that then showed that I'd actually fractured it. So when I went back to see him, he said, you've got to have the operation.
The specialist that my doctor referred me to was a very, very good specialist. And very informative in terms of the pre-operation, what was going to be required, the risks that were involved with the operation, and restrictions that would going to follow after the operation, in terms of being in a sling for 6 weeks and not being able to drive for probably 8 to 12 weeks. He talked also about the anaesthetic and the type of anaesthetic that would be used, because pain is quite significant with shoulder replacements. So we talked about a block anaesthetic, I think it is, into the side of your neck that basically keeps your shoulder numb from pain for the first 24 to 48 hours after the operation. And then I guess that for the first 3 to 4 days there would be quite a lot of swelling in the area of the operation, and that ice would be a big factor in maintaining or keeping that swelling down. So I was well informed. One of the things that did concern me, because I pointed out to the specialist as well that I was missing the swimming. Both he and subsequently a physiotherapist said that I would be unlikely to get the range of movement that I had previously, and that I may not get back to freestyle swimming as I had done. So that was a bit of a concern. The work you do in terms of the physiotherapy would be an impact, be relevant to that too.
My specialist had an information day, and I went to his practice, and there was a nurse there, and he spoke, and then the nurse spoke, and the physiotherapist also. And you could ask any questions you liked. It was very good. It was very well done, and we saw a film of the actual operation.
He had a little model, and he showed me the model of it and how he was going to do it, drew a little picture, told you what materials it was going to be made of, titanium and something else, and showed all of that. So I guess that just calmed you down, and we thought, well, he's done how many of them? Quite a lot. I had a lot of faith in him to start with.
I did make the decision on the day when I saw the specialist, and afterwards I thought, have I made a rash decision here? So I very, very quickly went about doing my own research as well, not just on the specialist, but also on other people's experiences, which also helped me in terms of making my decision or sticking with my decision.
Before the operation, I did about 4 weeks of exercises. I went to a physiotherapist, and he gave me exercises to do that would help me cope after the procedure, to prepare me for the procedure. That was a great help, I think.
I was asked to come to the hospital a week prior to my admission for a consultation with the nurse, the registered nurse. So at the point of admission into the hospital, they knew who I was and what my history was and what medications I had.
I experienced very low blood pressure after theatre. So I made sure that when I did the admission that I wrote down that I have low blood pressure post-operatively.
The only real preparation was to warn my wife that I would only have one hand for quite a while and that I wouldn't be driving for 6 to 8 weeks, so that she was aware that she would be my chauffeur for that time. And the only other, I guess, key preparation for the shoulder itself was to arrange for this cooling, ice cooling machine to keep my shoulder cool, so that when I came home I would be able to maintain the therapy on the shoulder to keep the swelling down, because that was a key element to the recovery of the shoulder itself.
I was told to take, of course, to take pyjamas into the hospital that button down the front, because you can't put things on over your head while you're in hospital. So,
You know, an electric toothbrush makes life a little bit easier. Get your hair cut short, have a shower, wash your back for the last time for quite some time. So you just sort of make things a little bit easier in that aspect and get your mindset around it. Okay, wake up this afternoon after a nice rest and I'll have a new shoulder.